the pits comes Lewis Hamilton. He goes straight on into the gravel track. It's all going to get away from him. This is going to turn the World Championship on its head. Here comes Kimi Raikkonen to record his 14th career victory, his 5th of this season, that takes on the Drivers' World Championship fight.
Raikkonen revived, Hamilton frustrated, and it's all moved on to this fantastic final weekend in Brazil. Fernando Alonso senses that a third straight World Championship is back within his grasp. Lewis Hamilton knows that his place in history needs to be earned the hard way. And we've come to Interlagos in Sao Paulo, where champions are crowned and heroic reputations are made. The Brazilian Grand Prix, the last weekend of the season, 3 drivers, 1 race for the biggest prize in the sport.
Good afternoon. It's not quite the last lap or the final shootout just yet, but this vital qualifying session for tomorrow's Brazilian Grand Prix is going to take someone significantly closer to the World Championship title. So many outcomes will go towards deciding the outcome of this incredibly tense weekend, but one of them, at the moment at least, is not the weather, because conditions absolutely ideal ahead of qualifying today, Mark.
Fantastic conditions, perfect conditions to qualify. Still a little bit of moisture in the air, so that's good for the engines to breathe, but the grip level will be high on the circuit. And a lot better than yesterday, very cool indeed.
And Lewis in terrific shape. The belief that we've got in him actually delivering this world title tomorrow was reinforced by his performance in practice yesterday.
You know, outstanding. He turned up, doesn't know the circuit. Within 5 laps, he was on the pace. He was as quick as anybody else on the circuit. And he'd just done a fantastic session yesterday afternoon. Probably one of the best I've seen him all season long. Huge amount of confidence. He's oozing it at the moment. It's going to be difficult to knock him off his pedestal.
But nevertheless, that World Championship title was firmly in his grasp in China 2 weeks ago. Instead, it's all agonizingly poised as we come here to Interlagos. Lewis's failure in the Chinese Grand Prix, Raikkonen's victory and Alonso's second place reduces Hamilton's lead over the world champion to 4 points. Raikkonen is back in title contention, 7 off the lead. A win or a second place for Lewis tomorrow would settle the argument and create motor racing history. But this is very much a 3-way battle for the World Championship crown.
The Iceman, the defending champion and the rookie. 3 drivers, 1 winner of the biggest prize in motorsport. There are many possible outcomes to the championship, but if all 3 finish the race, Kimi Raikkonen must win it and hope Fernando Alonso's 3rd or worse, and Lewis Hamilton's no better than 6th. Raikkonen's done well to still be in contention.
Really, we try to be 1 and 2, and it's not really up to us any after that anymore what's going to happen. So we're in the weakest position and out of those 3. So like I said, even if we are 1 and 2, we cannot still win it if they are after us. So we only can go, and it's quite simple in a way. So we don't have anything to lose and only to gain something.
For Fernando Alonso to take the title, he needs to win tomorrow's race with Lewis 3rd or lower, or if he's 2nd, Lewis must be 6th or worse. Fernando says his advantage lies in being the hunter.
I think everybody has pressure. Kimi, Lewis and me. Maybe Kimi and me, we have nothing to lose. We are already 2nd and 3rd, and with a big amount of points behind. So if we lose the championship, it will be not a big surprise, to be honest. So maybe he has more pressure now.
There's an extra scrutineer in Alonso's garage this weekend after Fernando suspected his car had been deliberately slowed down in China.
This has been a lot of talk about this, and you know, I also said after China that I was very surprised about the performance in qualifying, and it's like that. That's the truth. But as I said, 1 person in the garage, I think it will not be necessary.
Which brings us to the championship leader, Lewis Hamilton. Lewis will win the title if he finishes 1st or 2nd in the race tomorrow, and if he's 3rd, 4th or 5th, and Alonso doesn't win, then he's also champion.
I think here, you know, for sure I want to win the race, but I think that's always the way you have to always approach every race. You know, I'm not coming here to finish 4th, but if you look at the statistics, you know, I know where I need to finish, so I'm going to try to beat these guys, but if not, then I'll just finish behind them.
Despite the distraction of another summons to the stewards, Lewis has an ace up his sleeve in the form of a fresh engine, while Fernando's power plant is on its 2nd race.
It will not help, that's for sure, but sometimes, you know, if you see a little stronger engine or more horsepower in the dyno, etc., you put in the track and it's exactly the same as the normal one.
Going into this weekend, I want to be quicker, I want to be faster, I want to be better than I ever was before, and it would be unreal to win here. So it would, you know, everyone wants to finish the last race with a win, and so that's what I'm going to try doing. But I want to finish the race. That's the most important thing.
Good luck with that. Rejoin us at Interlagos right after the break. We're a few minutes away from the last qualifying session, and by far the most important qualifying session of this extraordinary Formula One season.
Now, there are a zillion possible mathematical permutations of the whole situation, but let's concentrate on the points leader, Hamilton, who has 4 over Alonso, 7 over Raikkonen. The points are handed out 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If the points leader, Hamilton, finishes first or second on Sunday, he is champion no matter what Alonso or Raikkonen do. If he finishes third, fourth, or fifth, Alonso comes into the picture and can grab the title with a victory. If Hamilton is 6th or 7th, Raikkonen enters the picture, but he must win to grab the title, and Alonso, if he is to take it, must finish in the top 2. If Hamilton is 8th, Alonso needs merely a podium finish in any position, but Raikkonen must be in the top 2 to overtake the points leader. If Hamilton is out of the points, Alonso can finish as poorly as 4th, Raikkonen 2nd to clinch the title. And I say there are a million permutations. In one scenario, if Hamilton is 5th, Alonso 2nd, Raikkonen 1st, they will tie on points, but Hamilton will be champion. The count back will go to 5th place finishes. That's how close it is.
Yeah, it's pretty much of a nail biter. Kaz Nakajima there looking fairly relaxed about it. Obviously he would be not involved in this fight at all, but it is just going to be pretty hair-raising, and the weather has changed a lot here already. It was raining yesterday, so they didn't get much practice in the morning. The afternoon was wet. This morning, of course, was hot and dry, and now it's very hot. Now we've got tyre problems with the heat. So, all in all, should be a great weekend coming up.
We've got a lot to talk about. There you see the McLaren garage. There is the Ferrari you keep at work. The tension is palpable in the pit lane. We'll be back to begin qualifying.
Practice, and we anticipate a smooth qualifying, so no problem.
So we wish you all the best for qualifying. Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie Ecclestone, just for joining Premier TV. We are now here at the final stage of the 2007 season. How satisfied are you with the, well, first year without Michael?
Well, we miss Michael, obviously, but I mean, the season's been very, very good, and to finish up now with 3 guys that could win the championship is obviously super.
Well, obviously, everybody wants to know who will make it in the end.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Huh? Ask me tomorrow about 4 o'clock.
And what do you think about the new generation, well, like Lewis, like Heikki Kovalainen?
Well, we'll have to see how they grow into the job. Let's see who's going to be champion first, shall we?
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the rear wing is back to the level of this morning before we changed, and the front wing is compensated minus the 2 clicks for the prime tires. We go to the pit wall, we're gonna wait a little bit, we don't go out straight away. Zero check. Give that lead, clear light. So the track temps come up about 6 or 7 degrees since this morning. It's quite hot out there now. Okay, at this point Mark thinks that the option is the better tyre. He just overshot one apex. Thus potentially could be a bad set. Okay, so we'll run the option, the first run, see where we are, make a decision for the second run. Yeah, we'll keep on looking at the data. Do you want a bit of front wing, just in case? Please. Couple of turns front wing.
This pace is fine. This pace is fine. You have plenty in hand for an extra lap.
Here at Interlagos, it's Brazil's Felipe Massa who has taken pole position for his home Grand Prix to the delight of the huge crowd at Interlagos. Massa on pole, that's what we expected, but alongside him, Britain's Lewis Hamilton, the World Championship leader, takes his place on the front row as well, and that's what we hoped for. And Mark, it was another wonderful performance of calmness, composure, with all the expectation that surrounds him this weekend. Terrific stuff from Lewis again.
Yeah, a fantastic lap and under an immense amount of pressure, and probably I'd say his best qualifying lap all season. Even though he didn't achieve pole position, you know, Massa's on pole, we expected that, as you said. We also expected Kimi Raikkonen to be on the front row and lock it out. But Lewis pulled something out the bag there, spectacular.
OK, we're going to get as much reaction as we can in the next few minutes to what he's achieved today, what he might achieve tomorrow. Let's hear first of all from the McLaren boss, Ron Dennis.
Yes, thank you very much, Steve. Yes, the crowd going bonkers for Felipe Massa, but a very crucial lap by Lewis Hamilton. Ron, how are we to read that?
I think both guys did a good job. We obviously really cut it fine on an extra fuel burn lap, but we don't think it hampered either driver. They both got the same advantage, and I think we're quite happy with qualifying. Nice to be on pole, but I don't know, pleases the crowd, doesn't it?
Well, I think you knew that Felipe Massa was going to try and do the pole probably 2 weeks ago, but is it fair to say Lewis is just plain quicker than Fernando here this weekend?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, our objective is to try and win the World Championship with one of our drivers, and we're trying to discipline ourselves into that strategy. So it's easy to get swept up in trying to be on pole or win the qualifying competition today, as it were. But we're focused on the race and focused on the championship.
And the championship, as far as the British fans of Lewis Hamilton out there are concerned, they can look forward tomorrow with some sort of positive feeling.
Absolutely, but it's going to be very, it's almost all in his hands now. We've got a little bit more work to do, a couple of small glitches, but nothing too serious, and that we're to address in the morning and be a good, clean fight to hopefully a good conclusion for the World Championship, and that's our objective.
Thanks, Ron. Back to you, Steve.
And as regards Hamilton versus Alonso, well, Ron Dennis just has to be discreet and diplomatic. They're absolutely neurotic about ensuring fair play, and that fair play is seen to be done in that McLaren garage.
I think they've had fair play all season long. I don't think this weekend's any different. I think Lewis Hamilton's just done a great job, and a better job so far than Alonso. But, I need to understand a little bit where the fuel levels are between the two cars. Maybe Alonso's running a little heavier. He does have experience to draw on, and maybe he feels that's going to be a better way to go racing. But Lewis Hamilton, still fantastic lap.
But Alonso qualifying fourth is very bad for him in terms of his World Championship prospects. And really, it came down to the way he conserved his tyres or didn't conserve his tyres.
Well, it looked like he actually was a little bit too hot on his out lap with the softer tyre. Maybe just grained him a little bit too early on and just didn't get enough on the end of his lap just to pull the extra time out. Lewis, on the other hand, looked after his tyres superbly, and his middle and last sectors were fantastic. That's where he drew the extra bit of time out of the lap.
Yeah, but Massa went out. He was quick. We knew he was going to be picked. But Raikkonen went out and claimed pole position temporarily as well. It looked like an all-Ferrari front row at one point.
I think that was the situation that really everybody wanted at Ferrari, to see them lock out the front row. But Raikkonen just didn't quite have it all together, and he just pushed a little bit too hard, just crept off the curbs on a couple of places and lost a little bit of vital time, and that was quite costly to him.
And Lewis was also very keen to get out of his way on a couple of occasions. Didn't want any kind of potential penalty hanging over him.
No, he didn't want to get infringed for blocking or anything like that. And he made sure that he was out the way, and I'm sure that they were screaming on him on the radio to make sure that he was out the way. There didn't have to be any problems for him in both cars.
Felipe Massa, how low do you think he's fueled, and what do you expect from him in the race today after this qualifying performance?
I think he's a little bit lower than most on the grid with the fuel, and we saw that there was definitely the advantage there for Massa. Every time he went out in qualifying, he was superbly quick. He knows his place at the back of his hand. He is a local, and he's got the home advantage with all the crowd on his side. But I'm sure that they were looking to create an advantage at that point.
Yeah, Ferrari want to be in charge of this race somehow. They were very keen to get Felipe Massa on pole. How might he use it tomorrow, and how might it affect Lewis in particular?
Well, it hasn't gone according to plan, because I think they wanted Massa on pole, but they also wanted Raikkonen on the front row. Then they could play a little bit of a game to see how they wanted to proceed in the race. Lewis is on the front row. He's going to be a big factor too, and something they've got to concern himself with.
Lewis had to deliver an absolutely sensational lap to split the Ferraris.
Yeah, as I say, Steve, I think probably the best lap he's had all season long. Huge amount of pressure on his shoulders to go out there and deliver. Composure, perfection, and just pulled something extra special out. And I'm sure he's a little heavier, and to get the amount of advantage he has over Alonso in time really just does say something special about him.
To the front of the grid is Massa, it's Lewis, and then it's Raikkonen, then it's Alonso. The top three in qualifying are in the press conference right now.
Back in Brazil, with the pole position is always fantastic, you know. On the qualifying, I had a very good first try, and in the second try, I made a small mistake. I improved a lot the lap time, but I made a small mistake. I thought I was a bit afraid that Lewis could beat me, but it was a good lap, and I was quite happy, you know, to come back here in front of my people. It's big emotion.
Well, on the pole last year, and obviously you won last year's Grand Prix. A different Interlagos this year, different track surface, much smoother, but I guess the same atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmosphere is always the same. You know, it's a very nice. People enjoy a lot being here in Interlagos and with the Brazilian flag. And that's amazing. I think last year we had a fantastic weekend. This year is a good start, so hopefully we can finish in the similar situation as we finished last year. It will be for sure another dream.
Well, as I say, a new track surface, but very, very close between you and McLaren Mercedes.
Yeah, it was very close between me and Lewis in the end. I was also a little bit expecting that maybe my engineer was saying P2, but in the end, 110 was close, but it was enough to be in front. So, and the asphalt is pretty nice. I mean, I have to say, you know, we don't have the bumps like we used to have in the past. It's very smooth, and it was a great job from Brazilian people.
Congratulations to you, and well done to you, Lewis. I'm pretty sure you're where you want to be. Do you want to know that you were actually purple as you went into that last corner, and it was very, very close between you and Felipe? You almost had the pole.
Yeah, very close. It was. I really enjoyed the qualifying session. Actually, we seemed to have very good pace here. The car was great to drive, and the team did a good job as always in getting us out in good space. Yeah, it was a really good lap. I think I just lost a little bit of time in the last corner. It wasn't a mistake. It was just you know, I didn't want to lose what I had up until then. So I lost half a tenth or something like that. So you know, apart from that, it was a close, perfect lap, and very, very happy. Good place for us to start. So
it looked like an interesting fuel burn period as well. You leading the pack there. Everybody seemed to be going for an extra lap if it was out there. It was pretty quick. And of course, you and Fernando had a stacked pit stop as well, with Fernando right behind you. Yeah,
it was. You know, it was good to get out first. The team, as always, do a really great job, and I like to be at the front of the pit lane. I think it's a good place to be. Get out there with a clean head and no one messing around in front of you. And yeah, we came in. Obviously, I was ahead of Fernando, but I just had to, as soon as I got my tyres on, leave as soon as possible, which worked perfect, actually. I just came out each time close to Kimi and just had to let him pass. But otherwise, it was perfect.
Well, speaking of a clear head, a slight glitch yesterday with a very small infringement on the tyre regulation. How are you faring up to the pressure? Brazilian Grand Prix and a big day for you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with pressure. You know, it wasn't me. You know, I sit in the car and I do what I'm told, and you know, but that was just we made a slight mistake there, but that's the way it goes. But we got a fine. Fortunately, I didn't have to pay for it. But you know, we've come in today. We've got the pace. I feel very confident for tomorrow, and I really hope the weather's good and we can continue and have a good weekend.
And what's it like from Lewis Hamilton's point of view going into this, what could be the biggest day of your life?
It's quite well. I've not reached that point yet, and I'm just buzzing. I'm really, buzzing. I'm really excited. Feel very relaxed. The car feels great underneath me. I love the circuit, and the food here in Brazil is great, and the fans, especially for this dude, are extremely enthusiastic. But I've seen quite a few British flags out there, so I'm very, very happy to see they've got some support.
Well done. Kimi, turning to you, quickest in Q2, not quite there in Q3. How do you feel about your lap? It looks as if you ran a little bit wide coming out of turn 3, or was it turn 4?
Yeah, I got sideways in turn 4, lost some time, but for sure could have been better lap. But I think so the car was not too bad itself. The first try I didn't really got the tires maybe working as I wanted, but the second try was good until that point, and even after that, but it was a bit late on that point already. So I think so we still have a good race car tomorrow. We're still in a good position to start, so anything can happen. We just need to go for it and see what happens.
But you don't need Lewis Hamilton ahead of you on the grid. How do you see the Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes battle tomorrow?
Probably as close as it's always been. It's going to be a long race, a hard race. I think so the tires will be a bit on a limit. So I think so whoever can use the tires best way probably will make a bigger difference. So hopefully we get everything working and we can achieve what we want.
Well done, Kimi. And Felipe, returning to you for final thoughts. In a grandstand position tomorrow with the World Championship to be decided around you, and you're on the pole.
Well, it's important to do a good start, and I'm sure the fight behind me, hopefully behind me, will be a big fight, and I'm sure it will be very nice for these people to watch a nice race, a nice fight between all these 3 guys. Hopefully I can go to the victory.
Well done, Felipe. Now, if we could have some words in Portuguese in front of your home crowd.
Bom, acho que é sensacional, dia sábado com a.
And Lewis absolutely bubbling in that press conference, as he has been all through this weekend, and there's the reason. He's on the front row alongside Felipe Massa. And then it's Raikkonen and Alonso. Mark Webber, superb qualifying performance for Red Bull alongside Nick Heidfeld. Then Kubica and Trulli, David Coulthard in the top 10, and he'll line up alongside Nico Rosberg. But it's all eyes on how this World Championship is going to be resolved. Does it feel just a little bit closer for Lewis Hamilton at the moment?
I think it does. I think it really does. I think he's come into this weekend, he's been very chilled out, and he's just delivered. And he knows now that he's on the front row and he's got every possibility to get into the front of the pack and lead this race. He also knows that the Ferrari of Raikkonen's behind, and he knows that Alonso's there as well, with the 2 main contenders to take this championship away from him. So, you know, at this moment he walks in with the advantage, and let's hope he can keep it.
Well, let's remind everyone of exactly what he's got to do and what he's got to beware of in terms of the mathematics tomorrow. And principally, well, he has to finish in front of Alonso. Currently, he's got a 4-point World Championship lead. He is champion if he's first or second. Alonso is champion if he wins, and Lewis is not directly behind him. Raikkonen is champion if he wins, and Lewis is 6th or lower, and Alonso 3rd or lower. And what that means for the race tomorrow, I suppose, Mark, is that Lewis in particular has to make sure he stays ahead of Fernando in those opening laps.
Yeah, definitely. That's the important factor. And it's important to know that Lewis has only got it really to lose, Steve. Raikkonen's got everything to gain, so has Alonso. They're going to be all out there trying to do the best they can, and maybe with a little bit more aggressive strategy than what they normally would have. Lewis, I think, will still maintain that aggression, but he will be focused to know that if he just drops back and the pace is not quite there for him, just stay put, he's going to still pull the championship off.
The start, of course, as ever, will be absolutely crucial. Should Lewis just let Felipe disappear into the distance?
No, I don't think he will. I think he'll want to go out and get into the lead into turn 1 and dominate this race, as he's done in the races he's won before. We've seen him go out and be that aggressive Lewis Hamilton, what we all love, and I think that's the same style he'll take into Sunday's race.
3 men going for the World Championship crown. Lewis Hamilton has a 4-point World Championship lead, and just as important, he has a place on the front row of the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix tomorrow.